Hello, everyone. This is Ria Pahuja from Economic Times CIO, and I welcome you all to the webinar Hybrid Approach to Work with Google Workspace. The acceptance that the future of work is now hybrid is a feeling of thrill as well as a caution. Enterprises of all sizes and industries have identified new opportunities and flexibilities with the culmination of digital age. Of course, when it comes to critical strategic operations in the hybrid work setup, the navigation of new age becomes more delicate. With the growing need for productivity, security, frontline convenience, and so on, the right set of solutions have become vital for enterprises today. Google Workspace's latest initiatives in these lines have become extensively useful for maneuvering the hybrid reality. Be it for efficiency through APIs, enhanced security features, or better accessibility of resources, enterprises are already experiencing real-world benefits with the Google Workspace suite. To further navigate all of these capabilities, today, etcio.com in association with Google and Searce is hosting this webinar to help you know the full potential of hybrid work setup, the opportunities in store for your firm in the post-pandemic age, and the capabilities of Google Workspaces to maximize your hybrid work leverage. For this very topical session, we have two eminent speakers from the industry. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Amol Petwe, Associate Director from Searce, and Mr. Prakash Panchal, Google Workspace Specialist from Google Cloud.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm fine, Ria. Thank you so much for arranging this.
Pleasure is ours. Before I go ahead, dear speakers, I would just like to inform my attendees that they can drop in if any of the queries they have, any of the questions in the comment box. We will be addressing them in the end. Without any further ado, over to you, Prakash. Please take this forward.
Thank you, Ria, for a beautiful introduction. Let me share my presentation so I can make some sense out of the content which I'm talking to. All right, so let me go. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
And all right, good enough. Thank you so much. So thank you everyone for taking time to join in. Today we're going to talk more about Google Workspace and the hybrid approach towards work and how Google Workspace is going to enable the transition from what we are doing today or what we were doing last year, more from a remote work standpoint to the hybrid work standpoint. So we're going to talk more around it. So before that, let me talk a bit about the trends that we saw in the type of work that we were doing in the COVID space. So if you look at some of the statistics here, we see the average employee reports feeling overworked and overwhelmed. Usually, most technologies that they work with, they are having a lot of different tools and different services with which they do their work. It gets in the way sometimes. It brings a siloed approach towards working with the team or working with people and the information as well. And it is then prone to have a lot of errors steps and the processes to get things done in a group. So if you look at some of the statistics here, we'll say that 20% of the employees spend time in looking for information, right? We do it all the time. We want to not recreate the content, but use some of the content. But if you go back and see prior to COVID-19, when we were working from office or from customer locations and from the places where you were supposed to be working for. When you need some information, you would usually look up for people, look up for resources inside the organization or to the internet. And we see that 20% of those employees spend time there, which is, if I have to use that terminology, it is as good as hiring 5 people and one of them not showing up for work. Right, so that's the impact of what we saw or what the study which was done in the past gave us with. So now, if you look at people who are who are the most important asset for an organization, and you would not want them to be burnt out looking for information, overworking, or looking at a lot of details at any given point of time. You want to give them utilities and tools which are resilient, and which gives them a unified way in getting the things work, right? So if you look at, so that's the place I want to set the context with on how we saw the trend before COVID-19. Now, if you see, I want to give you a glimpse of what we are seeing the trend now. The remote work and the evolving office spaces. We see that 48% of our customers are changing the design of office spaces to make it more inclusive, to ensure that the social distancing norms are in place. And major of those customers are experimenting on all of these new types of spaces, like the immersive meeting rooms, the sprint spaces, the pods for teams, so that they can still collaborate but be distant and work from office as well. And then there is the remote work, where people are still doing their work from home, or work from anywhere, wherever they are, but they're able to get all of the resources that they need to get their work done at their fingertip. And with that, I'll talk a bit about how Google Workspace bring this to life. So if you look at Google Workspace, the reason why we think that navigating to hybrid work, or navigating the work for future, we see that they are categorically put into these three buckets: the work which is no longer a place. And with many organizations adopting hybrid work model, a mix of both work from home and work from office, the challenges that they have always surrounded is around productivity and collaboration, which has now become the new emergency, where you want users to be productive and collaborative. To navigate this hybrid future successfully, we have seen organizations need flexible solutions that help people connect, create, and collaborate from any location and from any device, irrespective of the device size and the place that they are at. They are at a low bandwidth network, they are at their homes at the fiber speed. It doesn't really matter which device and locations are they working from. We give them the ability to create, collaborate, and connect with people in the organization. Specifically, these are three main themes, like I was talking about, where work is no longer a place. People need flexible solutions to help them connect, create, and collaborate from anywhere. Then, of course, now time has become more precious than ever. We need the tools that help people manage their time, and also attention, allowing them to deliver higher impact, giving employees back their time, instead of wasting 20% of their time looking for information that we saw that we're doing in the pre-COVID era. Uh, Now, if you look at the third piece, which becomes very crucial, the human connection, right? That is what the need of the hour, if you see, it is today. While we're all working remotely, and when we navigate to the hybrid type of work, or hybrid work, where people moving from remote to their offices, human connection becomes more crucial now, and it enables that. We need solutions that help people bridge those physical and virtual gap to make collaboration more inclusive and human. Right? And if you look at people whom I was mentioning, that people are the most important assets, and we don't want them to be burned out, no matter where they're working from, either from remote or from office, or in transition from remote to office. We really want them to have all of the tools necessary from where they work from. Now, let's imagine a world where technology puts people at the center, so that even teams who have never met in person can feel like they're in the same room. Right? Instead of distracting or adding numerous error steps to get something done, technology anticipates our needs and augments our work so that we can maximize our time. And instead of rigid tools that only work one way and best is for the traditional office settings, we want to have a culture, or a way in which we can work the way we want and wherever we want, and it is more flexible and easy to use type of tools. And all of this that we spoke about in a service of delivering the best possible product and outcomes to our customers, right? And if you look at these three themes, if you think back about flexible, helpful, and being innovative, keeping human connections, which is the most crucial, I would like to introduce Google Workspace, and I want to talk to you about how Google Workspace comes in, and the design that we have done with Google Workspace. It not only functions the way it caters to those three pillars we spoke about, but it also caters to the technology that is really seamless and intuitive. Then feeling that is like feels invisible, but anticipates our needs and augments our work so that we can maximize our time. Right. With that. I want to bring a perspective about how these tools in Google Workspace that we will talk in a minute, how these tools, the entire of Google Workspace, caters to different persona of people in the organization and also the organization and the team. So if you look at Google Workspace, it helps everyone in the organization to contribute equally regardless of the location, the role, the level, language, and the device preference they would be having. So if you look at internal teams that have to collaborate with each other, some working from home, some working from office, they can still work effectively from anywhere and from any device and on the go as well, right? And then there are large frontline workforce, which signifies or which are the face of the organization in front of the customers. These large frontline workforce uh, also have those tools and the power of collaborating and communicating with not only the persona they're working with, but also with the extended workforce who is sitting in back office or sitting in the office while they are on the field, even virtually. Right? And then it also, the third piece is about how companies can reimagine the digital customer experience, right? The organizations that are needing to completely redesign their customer experiences can adopt to this new normal with the help of Google Workspace and the tools which are listed in here. So if you look at Google Workspace, the portfolio of Google Workspace, you would see that they are categorized into three buckets: the connect, create, and the control. If you look at, I'm sure everybody is much familiar with Gmail, the calendars, the chat, and the meet options that comes into the connect piece. I also want to talk about app sheets and currents, which helps enable the entire connect piece in a seamless manner, right? When we're trying to connect, we talk to people, talk to our customers over emails, over chats, and over meets, in video and audio conferences, in video and audio calls as well. But inside the organization, what if we want to digitize some of the processes? What if we need to change the way our communications team inside the organization communicates with internal employees? So AppSheets is a platform that helps the citizen or helps the employees to create automation without them knowing any code or knowing anything about automation. It's as good as there is a thought, there's an idea, you go to the platform, put in your idea, and you have a solution which can come to life within minutes. And then there's currents, which helps the HR and the communications teams to collaborate and bring an inclusive culture inside the organization using currents. Then comes the create piece. The create is more about the docs, the sheets and slides. Then there are forms, sites. Especially, I'm sure we are aware about doc sheets and slides, which gives you ability to do all of the office work, right from creating of documents to sharing of documents, creating slides, ensuring version history of those documents that you're creating, sharing it with people inside as well as the outside the organization, ensuring that it is securely shared. And since I bring this topic about security, we're going to talk about security and the trends that we are seeing and the hybrid approach towards security that we are seeing in the market as well. But for now, we also talk about, or in the create piece, you would also see how can an organization create intranet sites and let the teams create intranet sites for their own purposes and ensure everything that they need to to keep from a document management standpoint remains at one place. Then there is Keep, Jamboard, AppScript, and add-on, and many other apps as well there. And then from an administration standpoint, you have admin controls to ensure there is the highest level of security and compliance, right from information protection to information governance standpoint. And then you have the power of cloud search, right, which ensures the power of Google search that we're doing today on the internet. The same power is also there inside the organization when you're trying to find information with numerous and millions of documents which are available inside the org. Right, so that's pretty much a very high level overview of what Google Workspace is. With that, I also want to talk to you about the statistics that we are seeing. Now, if you look at Google Workspace today, we have about 3 billion users running on Google Workspace, utilizing all of these services that we spoke about. And why is Workspace different? Again, I want to touch base on those 3 pillars we spoke about. The first one being flexible. And the reason why we say it's flexible is because there's flexibility across all collaboration platforms. And it not only helps power to work from anywhere, but it also helps work from any device, right? This is a foundation of Google Workspace. They pioneered real-time collaboration when the launch of Google Workspace back in 2006. And we continue to innovate more and more collaboration and fluid workflows, seamless collaboration, and effective ways and reliable ways to share it with larger audiences inside or outside the organization. Over time, our products have become more integrated, so much that now the mail, chat, meet, spaces that's going to come up, rooms, all of that now comes into a single place, and it gives you a unified experience of how you can do your work without navigating and moving between the applications. Whether it's a team within the organization or a group of people from many different organizations, you can still create chat rooms to communicate with a group or track projects, also collaborate contents in real time. And while you're collaborating, you can also jump into the meetings from the documents itself. That's how flexible Google Workspace is. Now, if you look at the way in which we do our work today, right? We use devices. We use desktops, laptops to get into the meetings for virtual meetings. But as companies consider their safe return to office, many are planning the mix of remote and in-person work environment. And this shift is more distributed workforce, and this is not new. It has been there. Most organizations, enterprises may have gone through it, and we have been working on video meeting platform, which is intuitive, over more than a decade. And today, if you look at Meet, it almost works on all devices, and it has complete range of hardware, right from work from home to office spaces as well as those boardrooms. With Google Meet hardware, we aim to create more immersive experience, then keep more people doing their best work wherever they are, whether they have the ability to take a meeting from big screen in their house, or a personal device or a handheld device, bringing the cloud AI into the conference room to create immersive and inclusive meetings. For collaboration equality, we also announced companion mode, which lets you participate equally, and with hand raising, polls, Q&A, and many more features built inside of the Meet platform. And since sanitization is more important than ever, with Google Assistant on the Nest Hub Max and the Series 1, employees or organizations can join and control touch-free meetings using the voice, like "Hey Google," and put those commands to join the meeting as well. Now, if you look at some of the helpful tools, which is part of Google Workspace, again, we have been working hard to add helpful features that make it uh, easiest to get your most of your work done. For example, with Smart Canvas, we are taking something that people already use every day, the at mentions, to open up new powerful collaboration capabilities. The new interactive building block, Smart Chip, which gives you files, people, meeting type templates. It gives you topic voting tables as well, and the checklist, which helps you connect with people and the content into a seamless collaboration document that you see on the GIF that's on the right, moving on the slide. It, it's ideally time saving, then it makes a difference. If you look at searching for documents to collaborate or to begin with, you could start with a document which is already built and start navigating using the at mentioned tips, uh, gathering more people and sharing the document with the at mention as well, while you're assigning tasks right from the document itself. So the smart data tools makes analysis easier and more accessible. You can get also connected to BigQuery, to your sheets, and analyze billions of rows and terabytes of data without any need of any specific databases as such. We also have those AI powered tools like Smart Compose and Smart Reply, which gives you suggestions to complete your sentences, gives you quick replies, and all of those AI enabled abilities built in inside the document. And then the last piece, the human centered experience, where we want people to be really connective. So Google Workspace puts people at the center to deepen connection between your employee and customers. All the consumer grade usability, we focused on creating immersive, inclusive product experience, like integrating Meet, like I spoke about, Spaces, integrating doc sheets and slides again, inside another, and also the Meet video conferencing solution that includes live captioning, in meeting translation on the fly in real time. And then it also gives you an ability to change layouts, which is adaptive, along with noise cancellation as well, which keeps you and helps you away from distractions. With this, I'm gonna run a quick short video, which talks about some of the abilities that we spoke about. All right. So with this, I want to switch some context around what we spoke all about, how Google Workspace helps bringing collaboration, how it ensures that there is human-centric connection, but then keeping all of that, security becomes paramount. And then the changing landscape of cybersecurity in the new normal that we have seen, and some of the statistics that we have found is really alarming. If you look at how COVID-19 has, drastically changed cybersecurity, there are about 600% cyber crimes up due to COVID-19 pandemic. And then more than 80% of APAC organizations suffered a cyber attack in 2020. And on an average, 419 threads per minute were reported in just Q2 of 2020. So there's an increase of 7x ransomware cases reported year on year. And if you look at how this landscape is changing on cybersecurity, there is definitely increased risk increased security risk from a remote working standpoint. There is exposed physical security. There's influx of cyber criminals, the bad actors on the internet, a delay in cyber attack detection and response. So, if you look at this changing landscape and the current situation that we have at in hand, security becomes paramount. And if you look at the enterprises um, that are running the collaboration softwares and that are running softwares to get their work done. There are about 18 million daily malware and phishing emails related to COVID-19 that we have seen, and then 84% of organization hit with DDoS attack, right? Um, and every 40 is a business is hit when a ransomware attack happens. So if you look at uh, the the backbone of cybersecurity threats that we are seeing in the internet or in the time of COVID-19, uh, it becomes really important for us in Google Workspace to talk about and ensure that our workspace services are having the highest level of security. And that's how we lead with security first mindset, where protecting the data is our top priority. So if you look at some of the abilities that you will see in Google Workspace, is the data which is on Google Workspace is your data, and only Google Cloud offers cloud data loss prevention. Right, all your data is encrypted at rest in transit, and while it has been in use, and that's by default. You have visibility and control over Google's admin access, who is doing what. All these audit trails by the admins are again saved and recorded for any forensic purposes. There are ways in which you can create or manage encryption keys, but outside of Google Cloud. So that ability is also there, where customer wants to bring their own key, and the keys has to be managed outside of Google Cloud, right? So if you look at some of the Google infrastructure that we have built to power these abilities, security has become the core. It has multi-layer of protection. If you look at right from the internet communications to storage services, hardware infrastructure, service deployment, identity, operational and device security. The whole of the life cycle of a end user or a life cycle of an organization from a security standpoint and workspace is being covered as part of Google security. Now, how do we enable collaboration, but not mean sacrificing security? Now, if you look at that notion, you will see that there will be two thoughts. One is for the cloud workforce, or the workforce who is wanting, or the end users who is wanting to do collaboration and create and empower people they work around with. And then there is the business side of it, where we want to ensure all the data is compliant, it is secured, it has the highest level of security, but also the investments are smart. So if you look at these two aspects, while they are enabled with Google Workspace, and to learn more about how it is going to work, or what are some of those abilities where we ensure the cloud workforce also and the business, they both do the work, or they both ensure security in Google Workspace. I'll like to bring on my colleague Amol, who will talk to us more about the security features. So with this, I'll hand it over to Amol for further deep down on security.
Thanks, Prakash. Thank you so much for setting the context. And I think this clearly gives us a idea about how Google Workspace can be and is so far an effective and efficient platform for the enterprises. But on a personal life, one note to start with, I always feel that what if we were being using these solutions since our childhood, right? And so that we could not have to depend on third-party licensing, right? But as the wise man says, infrastructure was a concern, right? But as the infrastructure has grown, the technology has started adding a lot of value to the enterprises, and Google is at the forefront for bringing these technologies first, right? So they have started creating everything on cloud, and not only for they would have started definitely for the personal lives, on a consumer level initially to start with Gmail introducing in 2006, but later on they started adding the same layer of solutions and adding an extra layer of security on top of the same interface for the enterprises. And today we are standing and looking Google Workspace as a enterprise grade collaborative and communication platform that is adding tremendous value to the enterprises. So with that, I would like to actually set the context related to the security in continuation with what Prakash has helped us in understanding and creating a good awareness about the workspace collaborative platforms. If you look at the next slide, Prakash, you would also agree that there are 3 to 4 areas. One area is purely your email, right? That's important for any organization. It's like a backbone for any organization's communication platform, right? Now, incoming email that needs to be protected. Outgoing email that needs to be secured because that data is not getting hacked. Now, there are these data breaches that takes place. Very importantly, there are users who are working on these solutions, right? Now, there are power users, there are non-power users. Our solution should address all the needs within an organization. Then there are interfaces which is nothing but the applications. Now, because of the advent of the mobile technologies, we have applications which are web-based and mobile-based applications. There are only 2 types of applications exist today, right? That needs to be secured as well because data is flowing in and out of the domain through these applications or these interfaces. Now, then the last thing is how do we retain that data? And that's very important from a company's compliance standpoint, right? So there are multiple compliance rules are there. Depending on the organization, they have different needs. Okay, so these are some of the areas: incoming email traffic, we call it as, or it could be drive data. There are documents which are going out of your domain. There are users as well as the applications which we need to basically manage. Moving on to the next, we would like to also help you understand that this has been very well taken care by Google's strong message security as a platform, as a built-in solution within the solution, which gives you 99.9% of the accessibility of the solutions, right, for the enterprises, right? That's the first thing. Now, whether you use your laptop, your home laptop, or your mobile devices. Very importantly, they have started providing security via third-party keys as well, right? This could be a hard key, it could be soft key available on your mobile, as well as the hard key available like a USB port, and managing the data which is available across the devices. So the solution which we are trying to talk about, Workspace, so far being introduced on the consumer level, we are talking about how it is effective for the enterprises. Moving on to the next, the first and very important thing is a sandbox environment, right? For any organization, it's so very important that a lot of attacks, be it phishing, spoofing, ransomware, happens through the attachments majorly. A scenario in an organization where a salespeople actually work on a particular proposal or a document and share a lot of to and fro documents with the enterprises outside the domain. And that's where the threats are being created. Can we ensure that the attachments which are coming in our domain are completely attack free? Okay, and that's where the security sandbox comes into picture, where we set up rules, right? All these attacks are being completely nullified at a sandbox or a test domain before it hits the inbox of a user. Okay, so that's very important and equally helpful for the users who are working on a secured environment like this. Right, so this is for the incoming traffic. Moving on to the next, we always feel, Prakash, can you help? Yeah. So that's important. Now, data leakage prevention, everybody is pretty much aware about the concept. Now, the prevention, it's for the files which are going out of our domain, right? Now, these files or email content or documents, are they sharing personal information? It could be PAN card, credit card information, social security number, and there are so many numbers are there. we have a predefined detectors. One, we have a custom rules can be created to from the same administration console. So if you remember what Prakash has shown us, there are three areas like communicate, create, and at the same time control. So I'm actually talking about the console level or control level perspective where DLP rules can be effectively configured. That will help our data flowing out of the domain will be more secure. Coming on to the next, we actually talk about health check of our security or a data which is residing in our domain, right? Now, is it under the controls of IT or the management? So the answer is yes. With the kind of a policies of sandboxing as well as a DLP, enterprise MDM, but how effectively it is working, and that's where a dashboarding environment is required, a reporting environment is required. So there are three areas which the Security Center as a platform provides through Google Workspace. One is the health check, the other one is the security dashboard, and the third one is the investigation tool. Now, importantly, health check by name it says, it tells you the security health of your organization. There are 8 to 9 different parameters are there. It basically gives you a very good score, and if it is not, then it can basically allows you to add multiple measures or action steps. Dashboard basically gives you complete view of the policies which has been created. Can we restrict certain files which are not within the purview of the policies or not following the policies, adhering to it, as well as the investigation tool. So investigation tool basically allows you to create multiple queries and get the responses pretty fast. So that's on the security center. The next piece, which also allows for Google Workspace enterprise users, are advanced protection program. Now, this is the security key I was talking about, whether it is a hard or soft keys. And this is very strongly recommended by Google for the enterprises, and not only for the enterprises, for your personal data or personal email as well, right? There are certain areas which also allows you to do it on your personal lives, but for the enterprises, it comes with a hard key. It comes with a lot of policies. You will not be in a position to just access your email from any devices just like that. Okay, there are extra layer of security which allows you to actually maintain that. There are third-party access can be restricted. There are these safe browsing protections are can be enforced from the same administration console. Okay, that basically takes care of the data through the high-risk users. Moving on to the next, I would also like to talk about uh, the context-aware access. Now, what does it mean? It basically nothing but an identity management for your organization, along with the context it takes care of for the request. Now, let's say, for example, in an organization, there are various type of people who wants to access the data from a different locations. Now, because of pandemic, things have so much changed that the company even want their users to be productive from wherever or whichever locations they are working upon. But are the technology supporting the security posture of the domain? Because of that, through context aware allows you to do and ensure that the accessibility of your users' data can be restricted. It could be within an IP environment or IP range within the company's network, or it could be related to a device restricted environment. So company-owned devices only should be allowed to access my Gmail and Google Drive environment. Or it could be basis the browser restriction, right? So I should be in a position to access my data only through a Chrome browser. Now, these are some of the context can be created for the enterprises. Again, coming back from the same administration console, right? It also allows you to actually have a single sign-on implemented for your multiple SAML-based applications. Moving on to the next, the same context-aware access along with the endpoint management capabilities, what Google Workspace provides for your Windows environment. Uh, we knew so far that Android being Google's own platform, and it is being very well managed for the Android via Google Workspace, but Google is going beyond Android and it started supporting not only on its own platform, but also third-party platform called Windows. Uh, you can actually log in into your Windows machine via Google account. That's the first thing. You can very well configure automatic updates which are taking place at the Windows, right? You can also configure BitLocker and manage the entire inventory of your Windows machine from the same administration console. Okay. And finally, the best part about the audit logs and the reporting function of the Google console allows you to actually conduct an audit, okay, for the Windows machines what you have at your end. Now, beyond Windows, when you go the third environment, which is basically the iOS environment, and Prakash, if you can actually go to the next slide, you will be able to see that you can actually manage the data within your iOS devices too, right? Nowadays, that iOS percent of users are actually increasing, right? It's not only Android, but it's two. So there are 70 to 80% of Android, and then the rest, a lot are basically on iOS. How do we ensure that it gives you same controls, data controls, which is available in Android? So iOS, Google Workspace supports in the iOS devices as well, where it does not give you containerization, but it gives you a data exfiltration, where data cannot be copied between a personal and an official profiles. Okay, that's one important piece. The second one is you can actually roll out all these Apple devices. It could be company or a user's own devices through the business manager, and you can actually push Apple push certificate as well through the console itself. Okay, these were on important functionalities from a device perspective. Uh, Moving on to the next, if we actually look at it, advanced management control, it see it is coming from a scenario where you've been managing a application and policies as well as user profiles through a particular Active Directory environment or a LDAP services, right? So Google Workspace as a solution platform also provides secure LDAP services, which is nothing but a LDAP as a service, frankly speaking, for your traditional applications as well as SAML-based applications both. Okay, now LDAP basically allows you to create and manage these applications, configure it as a single authentication environment, and push the policies through the same console. Okay, so you've been seeing it, right? So incoming traffic files which are going out are completely taken care of. Power users accessing it, and then the devices as well. And finally, on the accessibility part, and the last piece which I would actually like to talk about, Prakash, if you can go to the next, are your retention environment. So Google Vault is the platform, right? So all these services and areas, the security controls which Google is providing, are through these areas of platforms. Now, Google Vault is has multiple benefits of it. First and foremost, it's a complete replica of your users' data, which is at IT or a management level, right? It retains not only your email, but even your instant messaging chats, your recorded Google Meet videos, your documents and Drive, group level communication recently started supporting your Google sites have been created. Even that can also be archived. And these allows by default 10 years of retention, 365 days. That can be completely configured as per your compliance policies. And very importantly, it has an e-discovery environment. It's nothing but the same Google search technology incorporated into Google Vault. And a quick search allows you to find out all the data which is available at your level. And this is an admin or audit level or a compliance level too. It's not a even end users does not even know about the such kind of a retention platform at the backend, right? These are the core areas or the functionalities I wanted to actually talk about. Beyond the collaboration capabilities which Prakash has taken us through. And I think a combination of two actually gives a secure environment for the people who can actually work from anywhere, from any devices. And companies who have been using such products, right, with us, they have been giving a very good feedback that because we were on Google Workspace, we could sail through the pandemic period. We could sail through the concerns which end users were raising. It. We were not completely locked down. We were still communicating and working on our day-to-day operations because we were on cloud completely, right? So with that context, I would like to help you a little bit more about our company's years. If you actually take us to the next. So Sears is a modern tech consulting organization. Go to the next slide, Prakash. Is a modern tech consulting organization. We have partnered with Google more than 12 years now. We have been using these products ourselves. So we were the consumers first. We realized the benefit of the pure and proven cloud offering, which was coming through Google. And then we took the partnership with Google in 2009. So it's a great journey so far. We ourselves have helped with companies more than 2,000 clients across India and outside India as well to transform their legacy environment to the Google Cloud or a transformed setup. We've been supporting our clients on a regular basis so that we could ensure that the retention is there and the adoption of these products are also effective at a client's location. If we could add some of these large enterprises logos under our services portfolio. We are a service partner. We want to ensure that Google's vision is being clearly percolate or clearly conveyed to the enterprises so that the dependency on the third party solutions as well as the found solutions can be reduced and companies can enjoy cost consolidation along with cost savings for the investment they do at Google Workspace. With that, if you go to the next slide, Prakash, these are our core services. Quickly, in a minute time, I would like to help you with, as I said, we are a pure services organization. We focus on ensuring that we create a two-way channel between our clients and ourselves, right? Customers should be in a position to reach out to us at any given point of time. We also add value through our engagements from our end. We call it as a quarterly reviews. We do conduct training sessions for our for the IT as well as for the end user fraternity, so that they continue to know that there are new products and areas which Google is enhancing. We should be in a position to use that effectively and do importantly the security and mobility assessment workshops. That's the core objective of this meeting today, right? Where we want to ensure that these are all the functionalities which Workspace as a platform provides to the end users or the enterprises should be effectively adopted. Okay. With that, I would like to talk about four of our key customers across different verticals. To start with the manufacturing base, Kirloskar, everybody is aware, right? That's a conglomerate. Now, this organization has moved on to a to a platform-based solution because they have been managing different point solutions, and the collaboration was a big concern, right? What we did is we simply implemented Workspace, but it was definitely a lot of efforts across from both the sides required. We could increase the adoption of these products over a period of time. The business benefits, they observe that users are effectively coming for a communication as well as a file sharing environment on one platform. That was related to Google Workspace for Kirloskar. The second, automotive industry, big giant, Hero Motorwork, they could actually accelerate their innovation along with the collaboration through a workspace environment, right? 6,000 back in 2006 or 7, sorry, 16 or 17. Now they have been growing threefold, but they could actually utilize the benefit of these these technologies very effectively, and as a result, reduce a lot of cost on the third-party solutions. Okay, and increase the security posture of the product also, because the data related to their design as well as the development, product development areas, they could easily secure through the platforms of Workspace. And the next, I would like to talk about uh, aviation industry case, which is a big name again called AirAsia. Uh, Here we did certain specific areas. Our objective of implementing Workspace was to reduce the footprint of third-party solutions, third-party office productivity suite, and that's we did it very effectively, definitely with the help of AirAsia as a team. And the last, I would like to highlight or cite an example of a BFSI industry called Electronica Finance Limited company, fast-growing organization, provides loans, machine loans to the enterprises. They have been using it more effectively. Their sales team is so happy that they even implemented Google Data Studio, which is a part of Workspace, as their dashboarding environment for their sales team. Right. So these are some of the areas and customers which have moved to Google Workspace and identified huge transformation benefits coming onto this platform. And with that, I'll take a pause and I'll end the presentation. I would like Ria, if you there.
Yes,
Great.
thank you so much for that insightful presentation, both Amol and Prakash. Thanks so much. Moving on, we are having some frequently asked questions here. Amol, though we know we have talked about security in your part of the presentation, but since it's the question, why don't we address it again? And the question says,
Absolutely.
how do we keep track of all the policies and maintain a strong security posture?
So that's a very valid question, Ria, and thanks, team, for asking that. So it's basically again, it's part of the administration console. It maintains all the audit logs in the console. So whatever policies you implement, it creates a complete log at the console level. And Prakash, you want to add something from your end? Feel free to add.
Yeah, absolutely. So as organizations evolve and evolve from what they are today to where they want to reach from a security standpoint, every time or every day you spend as a security admin or as a security specialist in the organization, you would see that you're adding more controls and ensuring the security posture of the organization increasing. But with that, you're also increasing policies and procedures inside the organization. And that was the point I was trying to make in the presentation, that you don't want to make security paramount by disabling some of the services or disrupting the end user's usage. You want to ensure that security is at the paramount, but also ensure the end users have better access without any disruption. And the best way to manage all the changes that you're doing in security is definitely what Amol mentioned, everything around security in Google Workspace. Is right there on the admin screen, right from end user security, ensuring there is MFA, ensuring that there is device management, conditional access, and lot many other features in there, which are again recorded. And you also have a template inside of Google Workspace for specific set of personas in the organization. That templates have these set of rules inside it. You go ahead and enable that template for the end user, with which you're ensuring the security is done for that particular set of users as such. So yes, this is how you would essentially begin with and increment as you proceed.
Sure. The next up question here we have is there any option to track activities of Google Drive and get notified if anyone downloads or shares any confidential file outside of the organization?
Yeah, so Google provides Google Drive auditing functionality, which allows you to perform this activity where any files which is being created by an end user, it creates a complete audit at the console level. Okay, and it maintains a complete life cycle of the document in that console.
Okay. The next question up here we have is two-step authentication is an end user feature. Can we set up an alert if somebody disables it from his or her account?
From the console level, it is there. again possible?
It is possible.
It is possible, definitely.
All right. The last question that we have here is, how can we block users downloading applications with the organization IDs? How can we whitelist or probably blacklist some of the domains?
Prakash, you would want to take this up?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at Google Workspace, it integrates with a lot of third-party apps, right? Which allows you to extend your work with something that you're already using. And while you get extended to many other apps on the internet with the organization is already using, but using a parallel platform, you can in Google Workspace whitelist some of the application which you want your employees or set of employees should be using. And those are the whitelisted apps which those group of users can use. Rest of the apps which are available in the marketplace are just blocked for everybody in the organization. So there are capabilities and configurations that you can do which helps you whitelist and blacklist some of those apps available in the marketplace.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much again for coming up for this session and helping us with the questions. Dear audience, we've tried to answer most of the FAQs, but in case you have more questions, you can always reach out to us through any of our online or digital communication channels. We will always be happy to help. Until next time, please stay safe and stay connected.
Thank you.
Thank you.